it. Very good show today. First, I'll be interviewing André Bercoff. This is an indulgence for me. He has a radio show in France that I listen to literally every day. And to get the perspective of other people, particularly great journalists that have interviewed everybody, including Castro, Hollande, Mitterrand, Sarkozy, the Syrian president, Assad. It just goes on and on, the people he's been in contact with. And I'd love to get his view of us over here and where we are in history. And then the one and only Jeff Dye. His new pod is Die Hard, his new podcast. He is here with me in studio, and Jeff may jump in a little bit during the André Bercoff. There's Jeff right there during the André Bercoff interview. So we got a lot to get into today. We're watching you on the Restream and, of course, over at the Rumble Rants, and we will see you after this. Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for Christ's sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want to help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say. I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins, and a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue, and we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15. My mic on? There we go. Thank you. First off, André Bercoff, he's interviewed everybody. He's been around for a long time. He's a consummate journalist, the kind of journalist we don't really have here anymore. And I fell into his radio program, Radio Sud. It's midday in France. And he's got, Andre's going to tell me the name of it. Sometimes they call it Face à Face, sometimes à tous ses états, whatever. I don't know what the actual name of the show is, but his name is at the head of it. And he interviews incredibly interesting people, long-form interview. I said to both Jeff and Susan, it's like Joe Rogan for nerds. It would never go here because it's so deep in the conversation. Historians, psychologists, psychiatrists, just really interesting stuff. And I was looking for a way to just improve my French, and I just always try to find things that interest me. And now I'm a daily listener. Please welcome André Bercoff.
Hello. Thank you for receiving me.
Je suis sûr, vraiment, tellement. So, you during when we were sort of chatting offline here a little bit before we started, you mentioned the First Amendment in this country and how important it is that we have these prescriptions in the law for the right to free speech. And I'm going to frame it, and you're going to tell us how they do it in France. And I was a little surprised to hear that there's a commission. This sounds like Orwellian to us when you say there's a commission. But then I think to myself, well, in France, you guys have a language police. You have the Académie Française. You have people that since the Napoleonic era that police stuff like language, and that's specifically for the beauty of the language, not just for the language content. But you'll tell me about it in a second. But I just want to say this one thing, that A Frenchman came over here in 1822 to look at democracy in America. His name was de Tocqueville, an aristocrat. And one of his analyses of the First Amendment was, yes, this is one of the most extraordinary prescriptions in the law. And yet, as a practical matter, the Americans have less free speech than everybody else because of something he called the town square, which is now become cancellation and all that nonsense. Tell me how we're different here as compared to France.
The difference is this, as your cancellation, and we will talk certainly about wokeism and cancel culture. The difference is that the freedom in France, you see, I follow some of the great, when I say loudspeakers in literal sense, from Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, and all these. The thing is,
they're loud.
Better or for worse, if they say anything, but they say it. In France, you have a commission. It is very important to say that. You see, when I'll tell you something very, very factual, and when in the beginning of the COVID, the YouTube, YouTube, of course. If we said in France, ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, all this and that, we were cut. They say, no, you can't think about that. No. You have the general language is the Aryan vaccines. This is the truth. And anyone who says that maybe there are some questions that can be asked about that, you were at the right of Adolf Hitler. I can tell you in 2020, 2021, it was like that. And I'm not exaggerating. So we fought. I say, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a microbiologist, but I want to speak and to interrogate and to ask some people who know what they are saying. Maybe they're wrong, maybe they're right, but let us hear them. And it was really a fight about that, about the climate.
I don't know if you may be surprised. Let me just say, you may be surprised. We had the exact same thing here. And the Biden administration was actually putting pressure on people like YouTube to cancel people like me. So if we used a word like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, and I am a physician, and I might be talking to another physician, we would get canceled immediately. And so there was a number of us that were sort of affected by all this, and they have names now. I made a point of interviewing all of them back in 2020 and 2021, and they have names now that you would recognize. Their names are Marty Makary, Jay Bhattacharya, RFK Jr. They were all canceled. And they've come now full circle where these are the guys that are in charge. But it was the government that was putting pressure on the private companies to cancel people. And that's where things were way off the rail here.
Absolutely. Well, I know that in the United States you have the same thing. So your First Amendment doesn't protect you of everything. But we remember that we have some channels, that say this commission that I'm talking about say, look, you must absolutely take care about the climate, about this, about climate change and everything, the heating of the planet. Say, no, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Follow the government rules. It was Orwellian. It was really Orwellian. And Big Brother was talking, and Big Brother is right because he knows what he does. I'll tell you one example. We have one prime minister. He's not anymore, thank God, but he said, look, you can, with the COVID, you can go at a coffee, but don't drink coffee on your feet. You sit down. Yes. If you don't sit down, because the virus got at 1.50 meters, So if when you're sitting down, you don't have the COVID. The virus can't reach you. I mean, reach such stupidity and then such foolishness.
Yes. But that was California too. We could go to the beach, but we couldn't sit on a towel. If you remember this, Jeff, if you sat on a towel, you would be the poor lifeguards had to run around and sanction everybody.
It was very polite. It would wait for you to sit down at the diner table and take your mask off, and then it wouldn't affect you.
You're right. Or on an airplane,
Very
if you can
polite.
pull it down, but then if you stop eating, you just got to pull it up. It's so
And if you're in a Christmas party, if you have your grandfather, put him in the kitchen. Your daughter will be on the other room, and your sister will be up the roof. You must not stay together.
So the virus is so polite that it won't affect you at a protest for Black Lives Matter.
Right.
It will stay out of that because racial issues are very important. Polite virus.
So to this craziness, you've adopted so much that's happening over here, including you already have used the word wokeism and far right, which are things that I don't even know what they mean anymore. And you pointed that out today on your show. In fact, you had an academic who was saying that explicitly. But you have another thing is you have, and I don't think people talk about this over here, you have lawfare. And you have Marine Le Pen and you have Sarkozy, both the objects of lawfare. And I have a French couple I talked to a couple weeks ago, and I go, what's going on? It was before Sarkozy was found guilty. And I said, what's going on, Marine Le Pen? And they said, same thing, lawfare. We do it too. That's it. What do you feel about Sarkozy?
Well, Sarkozy, we can talk at length about Sarkozy. Sarkozy made something politically that I don't like at all, with the last referendum, the last election where you talk about the people. I don't know if you have a referendum in the United States. It's like Switzerland. You ask the people after democracy by the people, for the people, that. So the last time we made a referendum was in 2005. And they asked the French people, do you want a European constitution that will reign on you? 55% of them say no. And they say, well, I don't care. They sat on that. And it was the last of the referendum asking the people. And it was Sarkozy who sat on that. Now, politically. Now, he was against, but this is not the case now. The case is some judges hate Sarkozy, wanted to have to make points with him, and they punished him for that. And it is really the problem now. We don't have a political majority, so it's the judges, it's the law. But which law that govern today? So it's really tricky about that. If they don't like this and this, and they will choose, if you're an ally, if we like you ideologically, politically, we won't touch you. If you are, we consider you our enemy, well, we'll put you in jail.
Wow.
So, the democracy thing is something very, very, very tricky these days.
Yeah. And, I've got a lot to say about all that. But, one other thing about Sarkozy, I heard him in an interview once talking about that first hostage situation he walked into when I guess he was mayor or something. I was really shocked. I was like, it just sounded awful. I guess it was a school being shot up or something. He just walked in to try to, and he said something.
It was very courageous.
He was very courageous, but he said something that worried me. He said, I don't have fear. And I thought, oh, is he a sociopath? Because only sociopaths don't have fear. And I thought, so that worried me about him. But he's a very smart dude. I was really kind of impressed with his whole analysis of things. Yeah. But, the other interesting thing about your country is, except for your show, well, sometimes on your show too. I swear to God, 10 minutes, certainly on the TV like Europe-On, all those other places, 10 minutes don't go by before the word 1789 doesn't come out of somebody's mouth. Even before the rights of man, just 1789. There's like a preoccupation with it. And I don't think they know that over here, we look at that as sort of a catastrophe. Certainly 1794 was a catastrophe. And so to idolize that, how do I understand that?
Well, they don't. It's part of history. You see, we have some people, the monarchists, but very, very people now. Oh la la, that was a catastrophe, effective in 1789. No, 1789. Well, we can talk 2 hours about that, Dr. Zhu. It was something that, it was what we call the Enlightenment, Diderot, Voltaire, D'Alembert, all these people.
Yes.
And the
yes.
Constitution. Tocqueville talk about that after. So they were for liberty. They wanted that not only the nobles and the clergymen and the priests have the power. They wanted, so it was not the people, not the workers, not the peasants, but the bourgeoisie wanted power. They didn't have at this time. They took power. It was a bourgeoisie coup. And the problem is they cut the head of the king. That was the king. It was, we must, and it was a big thing for 5 years. Many people didn't want to kill the kings. They said, no, we must do that. You see? In France, I'll tell you, we have this thing between conservatives, but not in the sense of America. Like we say liberals not in the sense of America. People say we must make the revolution, it is language, but it's like a mantra. Yeah, revolution. Nobody do revolution for 50 years. And when Mitterrand, our president, came, said, the left is gone. There is no left anymore. There is no left.
Right.
They mimic the left. They play that they are the left, but it's a Canada Dry. It's Alsace left, you see. So everybody is... So that's the problem in France, but we have problem of debt, terrible debt, like you have too, but you have a problem in employment. Yes. You have a problem communitarism, I think that you were talking with Ben David before about, who assimilates, who wants to be in France, and who spit on France. We have these problems. And this is a problem. These are the problems that really now are shaking the country.
Yes, I hear about it every day on your show. One quick question while I'm thinking of it. When the USAID scandal was exposed and the amount of money that was being squandered or whatever was happening to it, you had a huge reaction to that. You called it hallucinating, or the French use that word a little bit more liberally than we do here. And then you kind of left it behind. You stopped talking about it. Is there a reason why you stopped? Because I feel like you had this very strong reaction, and I haven't heard it since.
No, not at all. I'll tell you why. Because we began, and this was our lesson from America, we began to talk about our French AID. Because we have the same problem, not in a whole huge sums, but we have the same problem. I will tell you, we France, give aid for 5 years. We gave $100 million to China. Poor China, starving China. We paid $100 billion a year to China. We paid something for Cameroon, Africa, to mend the roads. And we have hospitals that are crumbling. We have people living on the streets. We have people sleeping in their cars because they don't have the money. You have the agriculture, our peasants. They take 1,000 euros, dollars a month, and they are, 8 million people in France are under poverty. They are not starving, but it's under poverty. And we spend. And the state, and the state is us, they spend. That's why we didn't leave USAID, but our French AID was absolutely like yours. Where does the money go?
I see.
This is the incredible amount of money. Nobody knows where. You have these bureaucrats. We know better than you. The thing is, we are the good people. We know better than you. You don't know. You're a little child, or 4 years old. We know better than. Let us govern, and you keep on your bed or on your side.
Which is the opposite of the principles we're talking about from 1789, the sovereignty of the people, which is the exact opposite of that. But you were saying it's fortuitous that we're talking today, because you were talking to a guy today about the uncoupling. I guess it was Mitterrand that did it. Uncoupling from capitalism, uncoupling from enlightenment, and the sort of and then the post-structuralism that creeped in. I remember listening to a French philosopher like 8 years ago, and she was like, I am mystified by the United States preoccupation with post-structuralism, and we have no place for them. They're from 50 or 60 years ago, and they're just they were not useful. Like Foucault was wrong. It was just wrong, and now the French are re-embracing it, and I'm worried that that's because of us. And so my question is, how do you guys see the United States? How do the French perceive us? They're starting to adopt things that we're doing. I don't know if they know it.
Very interesting. I'll tell you, they see you with attraction and repulsion, and they see. I mean, they all tell you. They won't tell you publicly. Well, everything that's happening in America comes to France 10 years or 15 years later. It's not like that always, but it's like that. But the other thing is that as you are now changing a little more than a little about woke, about cancel culture, I see that transgender in the army is now the fad today. We are changing too. You know, the problem is very simple. French, I'll go back not to 1789, but to Marxism and communism. Don't forget that 50 years ago, French were communists. The Communist Party drew, 30% of the votes. They're very popular. Today, the Communist Party is 1% of the votes. I mean, the proletariat, the workers are not at all now on the left or on the communists because they saw what happened and they completely drew to Marine Le Pen and all other parties. So the people say, what are we doing? So the left went on LGBTQ, on women, feminism, on immigrants, on communitarism, the wretched of the earth, and that's Black Lives Matter and everything. It's a trend, but this trend now made a reaction because the French says, who are we? Who are we? You in the United States, okay, you have now a sort of war, I don't say civil war, secession war, between the deep state and the people who say, enough with the deep state. We say, what's going on in Europe? We are fighting with Ukraine. We lend the arms, $100 billion. Okay, but for what? For what? Are we going to send soldiers in Ukraine? So people are I will tell you, really completely lost. And they don't know where they live, where they habit. And that's a big, big problem now in France. And they are watching Trump, they're watching America, and they want to know where it's going.
Yeah, it must be mystifying because it's a little mystifying to us too. But I've noticed the youth are coming back around to Mélenchon, which is also hallucinating because he is like, he talks and I just thought, oh my God, he'll say anything.
Mélenchon, you know what? Mélenchon is a grocer. He said, where are my people who will vote for me? Exactly like Chuck Schumer. Let's say all the illegals that don't have ID and they will vote for. Who will vote for Democrats? Yeah. The illegals. And Mélenchon is exactly like that. Mélenchon is a French Chuck Schumer. I mean, to sum it up in a way. So he wants that
makes sense.
All the people, all the immigrants and everything.
But he's got so many. I'm amazed the way young people have sort of gravitated to him, though. But, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm going to kind of wrap up with this, and you've been very kind with your time. I know it's late in the evening there. I was listening. I watched the movie Napoleon, and I thought to myself, well, that's not what happened. So I'm going to find out what did happen. So I started listening to French scholars, and a guy named Thierry Lenz and a guy named Emmanuel Verrescal, and Verrescal particularly, he started saying, the so-called dark, what do they call it? The dark
triad
legend, the dark legend of Napoleon is that he was that he allowed slavery to go on in a certain part of the West Indies, and this guy Emmanuel said, he goes, that happened, but that's because there was a royalist uprising, and they used the slaves were owned by the royalists, and he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't he would love to free the slave. Anyway, point is that he then said, we have completely, sort of scratched Napoleon out of his history books in some people's minds, Mélenchon, and in fact, he's part of who we are. And we need to really embrace what our history has been, all of it, and what it means to be French. I heard that about 5 years ago, and I thought, oh, something is happening in France. Something is happening. It's slow, and you're talking about it today, but I think it's happening.
Yeah, what's happening, I'll tell you, but it will not go without what's happening in Europe. You see, I think, look what's happening now in Hungary, look what's happening in England. Where if you take the English flag, you're in prison or you're jailed and everything. I mean, people ashamed of their own identity, of their own flag, of their own origin. This has been going through all this cancel culture and all this because you have people, they say left or right. It's finished. Left or right is not the thing. It's the patriots, the identity, still the mondialist. It's Soros.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, that's it, and that's what is going on at various stages in the world today, and in France anyway.
C'est très intéressant. Jeff, you have any questions? We covered a lot of interesting territory here.
I'm just glad you guys disavowed that Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon movie. It was terrible.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
The whole movie is just about how his wife cheated on him while he was away at battle.
It really was very, very weird.
I left the movie going, I should be mad at Napoleon. No, not women.
Not the best film about Napoleon, to tell you the truth. Not the best film.
I was like, who wrote this movie, Napoleon?
Yeah, I thought to myself, well, that didn't happen. I'm not sure what did, but that didn't happen.
Terrible.
Yeah, but it got me looking at the facts and reading some stuff and getting into it. So I appreciate that. I think that about I can just keep talking to you all day because I think of things, during your show a lot. And I told Andre before the show that if you remember, we interviewed Beatrice Rosen, who was spits fire. She was in Charmed, I think. She's a French-American actress. And she is saying it's time for a sixième république. She's done with it. I don't know if that's a minority opinion out there, but she's so mad at Macron. She's like, all right, just let's go for a sixth republic. Let's forget it. Start over again. Is that a minority opinion over there?
Well, I don't think this is the most important thing, sixième république, if we have the same clowns as we have the cinquième. It's not a question of number. It's a question of who will have the stamina, who will have I'll tell you in Spanish is better, who will have the cojones, the courage, the
you can say the balls here. This is the internet. It's not radio. It's the internet. It's the internet. Radio. You can't say that.
Big brother's watching. They can't say balls.
I'll tell you what the French president say. The most important surgery now. It's the graft. What is the graft in transplant. The most important surgery in France is the transplants of balls. And somebody said, yes, where are the donors? So the big question is, where are the donors? We need donors, not 5 years.
You know what? Yeah, we need more balls.
I'm going to tell you something. It might come from ovaries. Because the women you have over there are starting to stand up and say stuff, and they can do it because they're from a protected class a little bit, and I've actually noticed that, and I thought, this could be where it comes from.
Right. Well, women have more ovaries than men have balls. We'll see that. Anyway, what we need anyway is really a change of not the regime. The people, it's sleepy. It's sleepy. It's really sleepy. We have, look, we don't have Joe Biden, but we have Otto Pen now. That's a problem. We are government.
I know. We had that.
You understand what I mean?
Yes, we had it.
That's
we know what that
problem.
is now.
Yeah.
So last thing, I promise. I learned you spoke English when you interviewed a EU representative, and I was shocked at the amount of money that the lobbyists have and all the lobbyists and how they just can't, they don't do anything except respond to lobbyists, it seems like. That interview was shocking to me. But is Frexit on the table, and closed me out with what you think about the way the EU operates?
Well, EU operate like a good mafia. You see, EU is without gulag, without prison. That's good. What USSR was in the in the 50s, 60s, and without. Well, thank God, without the prison and the gulag and everything. But Ursula von der Leyen, the way she the vaccines and everything. I mean, this is terrible. I mean, France, 80% of the laws in France are written, made by the European Union, the commissars who are not elected. So, I mean, this is, I don't know if we can do the Frexit but it's not possible to stay in this situation where we are completely, like a statue, like a bronze statue. We don't know where we are. I told her that too. Yeah. By the way, about the people that you said I interviewed Trump. I was the only journalist who interviewed Trump in the first campaign.
I read that.
That.
I was that.
And the interesting thing is, at the epoch, it was 8 years ago or 9 years ago, and he told me how the thing, and the interesting where you are, where I am, that the mainstream media were dying, will continue to be dying, and like you show, like it shows, this is where now we can hear a lot of things, and the public, even in France, they are much more informed. I don't say they're much more intelligent, but they must much more informed than they were 10, 15 years ago. That's a good thing.
Well, now you're canceled by half of our country. Now that we've learned that you spoke to Donald Trump, that is,
how dare you?
I know.
Oh my gosh. But that's a great place to stop. I have one vocabulary question, which is you refer to your callers as editeur. Is that true? Are you editor response to callers or producers or writers? How do you guys use that word? Editor.
Well, editor. I mean, editor. It's well in the book. It's somebody produce books. And we are, I consider myself, as a high speaker, as a speaker, I want to transmit. I try to understand what's going on in the world, like you, and I like to transmit to people. That's why, and when people stop at you in the street and say, thank you for what you're saying, and thank you, you are really saving me, you are really rescuing me. Wow, say you're not working for nothing.
I absolutely understand why people would do that for you, because you've done the same for me, and I hope people feel interested in learning more and keep an eye on how we're perceived by the rest of the world and what we have infected the rest of the world with, and that there are people out there fighting the good fight, and André is definitely one of those people, and he brings on these. I suppose you could watch it on YouTube and there'd be some sort of translation you could get. I was going to say,
I listened to a couple episodes. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
It doesn't in French. It's in French.
I was baffled.
But I think Susan found a program where they could transfer me into Spanish, and it looks like I'm speaking Spanish.
Yeah, I do that with my Instagram.
Crazy, an AI program. But
IA can do it.
André, thank you so much. I'm deeply honored, and I appreciate that you spent your time with us this evening, and I'll be listening to you tomorrow. And if you ever have things, you have questions or things we can do to help support you over there, or because it's just, I think it's an important exchange. I just really do.
Right. And I will do it, and I'll receive you in my show. That we are going to do that in a short time.
En français, c'est très difficile pour moi. C'est très difficile pour moi. Mais peut-être en anglais, okay?
As you want, you will talk as you want, Drew, and we'll translate, no problem.
All right, I'll go back and forth. Ma français un peu débile. Okay, thank you so much, sir.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. That to me was very, very interesting. I thank you for sitting there while I did. It's just so interesting.
You called him the Joe Rogan for nerds. And like I said, listen to the episode. He didn't talk about UFC one time. The whole time. When is this guy going to get to the UFC?
That's the point. It's for nerds. It's for people like me that I like the UFC, but I want somebody like André. I don't know. I don't know what my instinct is so strong on this one, that there's something there in us listening to people.
He's great, and he seems reasonable, which is the whole secret cup. We don't have a lot of reasonable people anymore.
But he comes from a historical perspective. He's spoken to Castro and Mitterrand and Trump and all these people, and he's in there sort of you heard what he said, that they're lost and he's trying to fight his way back to something.
Yeah.
And I think we're a little better off, but not a lot.
Well, I think when I used to always hear, history will repeat itself. History will repeat itself. I've heard that so much that it was like this annoying cliche that my teacher said, but it's true. You see it happening all the time in different ways. I mean, with them, whether it's political schemes and systems of Marxism or communism or any of these things,
they bring it back.
Or if you just see it with cigarettes and then now with vapes, or like you just see these things repeat themselves.
Yeah.
Guys like that are very, very important.
It's like the collective memory is short. Is really what you're saying, and I think that's absolutely true. Okay. I don't want to talk too much like an old man here. So what I'm going to do is take a little break, and then I'm going to focus on Jeff Dye. We're going to get into that, Jeff and his new podcast, Die Hard, right after this. I've spent most of my career dealing with illnesses that shorten life, and now we have ways to extend it and extend wellness. I've been working with the team over at V-Shred to develop a product that has everything I want in a longevity supplement. NR Boost has nicotinamide riboside. You know, metal can rust. Well, your body behaves in a similar way. It's mediated through something called NAD. NAD falls as we age, so we're less able to fight off that oxidative process. We oxidize much like that metal. And NAD fights it, but nicotinamide riboside elevates NAD so we can push back on those oxidative stressors, improving health, improving longevity. The other product is Senosync, has fisetin, one of the key molecules to fight off zombie cells, and we've added resveratrol to that, which is a well-known anti-aging antioxidant again. I don't like supplements that have a ton of ingredients. To me, it suggests that none of it's working. When I prescribe a medication, I prescribe that medicine because I expect that to work. That is exactly what I've done with these products. And I want you to go to drdrew.com/vshredmd for 10% off. Again, that is drdrew.com/vshredmd. The wellness company knows that taking charge of your family's healthcare is a top priority, and being rationally ready, and who knows what the future will hold for us. Now, TWC has a service to cover your family's medical needs, including and especially prevention. For just $100 a month, the One Wellness Elite membership includes 2 free medical-grade nutraceuticals per month, free prescriptions for over 800 of the most common medications, access to concierge telemedicine, available at a moment's notice, and a 15% discount on all supplements and the emergency kits. 15% off the emergency kits. That's quite a saving. So if you're spending $100 or more on supplements and meds every month, this plan will already save you money. If you sign up for a year, you'll save $200. And when you use the link, drdrew.com/TWC, you'll get 10% off the first payment to the One Wellness Elite membership. Check out One Wellness at drdrew.com/TWC and get 10% off your first payment. drdrew.com/TWC. It's all there.
I wasn't all Dr. Drew or anything.
Why would I screw myself? What am I, Dr. Drew?
And TWC, look at that One Wellness plan they're coming up with lots of creative products to free us to be able to use the medical system the way we want to, when we want to. Check out TWC. Paleo Valley also, they are constantly updating their products. They're amazing along this stuff. Now we're going to give you a bunch of their stuff too, Jeff. I love this stuff. The grass-fed and finished bone broth, protein powder, savory flavor, turmeric, ginger. There are hundreds of benefits of turmeric, of course. And Susan, what were you using it in, Susan? A soup or something?
Ramen.
Ramen. She put in ramen and vegetables. Paleo Valley uses only the certified organic whole food turmeric, of course, and they're so careful. Autumn is so careful what she does. Paleo Valley's bone broth made with bones, not hide. Each scoop, 7 to 8 grams of collagen protein, the most abundant protein the human needs. And of course, we don't get enough, and that's why I put the chocolate variety in my coffee literally every day. I'm giving you chocolate, Jeff. I'm so enthusiastic about it. And of course, the new pumpkin spice superfood bars, impeccably sourced bone broth powder at their core. There's the pumpkin spice, only for the season. Get them till they're gone. Drdrew.com/Paleo Valley for 20% off when you subscribe, or 15% off your first order. That one more time is drdrew.com/Paleo Valley. Jeff Dye, the podcast is Die Hard. Where can they get it? What are they going to experience when they get there?
It's on every platform. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can listen to my podcast, or you could watch it on YouTube, but it's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's on everything. Just me talking
That's
I don't have
good.
any guests. I got a lot to say, so I just share it on there.
That's really hard to do. But I don't know if people appreciate. How long do you go for? An hour?
About an hour, yeah. Sometimes like 40 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes a little over an hour. But like, as a comedian, we have so many things rumbling around in our brains, and we're up there talking alone. And so for the podcast, I've had other podcasts where there's like a game or there's a gimmick or a guest, and this was just a much more therapeutic way for me to just share what I'm thinking.
Do you remember when Bill Burr used to have a daily? He used to do it from a payphone or something, and he would record it. It was just sort of I remember where it even showed up.
Bill Burr is he's on my Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedy.
Yes.
I think he's a genius.
Yeah,
I think he's one of the greatest comics that's ever lived.
Yeah.
I've criticized him on a lot of his political takes, publicly and privately.
That's fine.
But he's a genius.
Yes.
And he's very, very good at what we do. And he was my inspiration for that. I was like, dude, I'm just going to go into a studio and talk, And like
he
that,
would do it every day. Like he had to talk.
And he was so good.
And everything we said, every time, it was like, Jesus, there's something really insightful
And
here.
sometimes he's just rambling about a show he watched with his wife, and then sometimes it's very heavy stuff, and I love that.
Who was on the Mount Rushmore?
For me personally, Norm Macdonald, Patrice O'Neill, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr. Like those are the four for me.
Chappelle's like Chappelle. I mean,
incredible.
How about Pryor? He's maybe a little before your time.
Well, I like Pryor and I like George Carlin and I liked all those, like the forefathers, if you will. But by the time I was in comedy, so many comics had ripped off Carlin and Richard Pryor that they sounded like hacks to me.
Yeah.
I would be like, well, this guy just sounds like so-and-so. And they're like, yeah, but Pryor was first.
Yes.
Pryor, he's like blazed that trail.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's interesting. But Chappelle, I don't know. I don't think we would have found our way out of COVID without Chappelle. I really feel like he's so good. Genius, a hero.
Well, and they got to be that's what I like most about like Bill Burr, older Bill Burr stuff, and then Chappelle and these things is like they have the right to be wrong. They can, as long as it's funny and they're giving these takes, but they got to be brave enough to be willing to be wrong.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know, going to Riyadh, and performing for the Saudis. Who knew that this was going to be maybe a bad look or whatever they're doing? It's like,
do you have an opinion about it?
You've kind of just got to do things and see how it shakes out.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a wild choice for them to go do it,
I don't. Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble. But the Saudis, I understand the Muslim Brotherhood was maybe behind the whatever. The Saudis themselves are not our enemy. They are our ally.
We have golf there. We have wrestling there.
They have helped us. I would argue that the peace accord, the Abraham Accord, would not have happened without them.
Right.
They consistently come to our assistance. I mean, we have differences. Good.
Right.
So I don't understand what the big deal was. So am I missing it?
No, you're not missing anything. You're 100% right. I would have went there. Full disclosure, if they'd have paid me to go to there like any other comedy festival, I would have went. I'm saying that
wouldn't it be
right now.
Goodwill? Is
the
it good
difference
thing?
is
Here we go.
Some comics are pretty preachy on their soapbox about things.
About
women's rights. Gay rights, LGBT, the Israel, Palestine. all these
I actually don't know, but I don't know how bad the Saudis are with that stuff. Are they
they're
outliers?
not crazy feminists.
No, they're not. I'm sure they're not. But they would allow that material, maybe? It would be interesting.
I'm not sure. I mean, I might be talking out of school. I was just saying it might be for certain comics who say certain things look a little hypocritical to take a bunch of money from the Saudis. Bill seems to have a lot of strong opinions about white billionaires, but he seems to be fine with trillionaires who live in Saudi Arabia, whatever it is. I would go. I have no problem. But I am also pretty insensitive about these subjects on stage, so no one would call me a hypocrite for going there. So
I want to tell you a quick Norm Macdonald story. I tell everybody this Norm fan. It's my favorite Norm story. I knew him a bit. We'd see him here and there and I went to see a stand up here at the Ice House in Pasadena, and he was up with Fred Stoller. Fred was touring around with him. And he gets up, his first thing, he gets up, he goes, I just love Bill Cosby. I'm sorry, guys. I just love that guy. I love everything about him. I really fashioned my entire life of Bill Cosby and everything he does, everything except his comedy.
I love it. Dude, he's a legend. One of my greatest regrets was not getting to meet Norm before he passed, because I had many opportunities. Like we were both in the same industry. I could have gotten tickets so easily. I could have got on a plane or in a car, and I never got to.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But exactly what you expect. I mean,
That's
just
great.
distracted and all over the place.
I had a dream where I met him, and like I never talk about my dreams. It's such like a girl thing to be like, I had this dream, but I
sexist.
I couldn't show. Oh, for sure.
Sexist would say.
Oh no, women definitely talk about their dreams. I don't think I'm talking out of school. I woke up and I like told my buddy, I was like, I met Norm in my dream, and it's funny because in the dream I was telling Norm like I'm a huge fan. I watched your show, and then I was like, you know that show you had, and he even in my dream he was like, yeah, you sound like a true fan. Like, 'cause I couldn't come up with the name of what I was.
He would give you shit immediately.
So great.
That's
I felt
exactly
like I
what
really
he would
met
do.
him.
Well, yeah, well, maybe, Susan thinks you did. So, right?
Yeah,
I think he did what?
Yeah, he actually met Norm Macdonald because he visited him in a dream.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
See?
No, he's visiting you now.
I love it. That made me happy.
I heard that. I was doing
So,
something.
while during the commercial break, we were talking about something that André Bercoff said about the world's view, at least the French view of us, with both envy and disgust.
Yeah,
essentially.
it's hilarious
He said,
to me.
So give me, and by the way, we have another guy we follow named Salty Cracker that comes on the show all the time that does also an hour just monologue by himself. And when you guys can do that, I'm just like, oh my God, and do it and entertain and do it again and again and again. That's phenomenal. Envy and disgust.
I just think it's funny because I think that that's how a lot of people view America. Like they hate us, but then they also like come here and they love it and they want to live here. Like there's this, I don't know if it's 100% jealousy. I don't know, but like the rest of the world treats America like the way we treat Vegas. like they go there and like, wow, what a place, Like, but then when they go back, they can't stop talking about Vegas. They show everyone the pictures of Vegas.
Yeah.
Like we were wild and carefree, and it's kind of like, he was talking about like they don't even have the First Amendment the way we do.
That's right.
And so like in a lot of ways, people, I'm French, I'm proper, but then there is this envy of like, well, I want to be kind of like those cowboys where Alex Jones and Joe Rogan can speak
Is that
loudly,
what it is?
I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you're onto something
There's a freedom there.
It's the freedom. And yet, I think our freedom is in jeopardy. It's being impinged upon. So, so I want to say something. I'm trying to synthesize all this, right? So I'm going to say the freedom is fundamentally the thing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that if we don't maintain there are limits of freedom, to be fair. I understand that. But if we don't maintain our priority in freedom and defend freedom at all costs, we lose the game.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I feel like free speech is where you can really see it. It's the easiest one to look at.
I worked at MTV, we would get letters all the time. We had a prank show. It was very naughty. It was very like, it was basically Impractical Jokers, but very, very like edgy and like inappropriate and stuff. It was called Money from Strangers. And we would just do wild stuff. And every letter, every email that we got that was like, this is smut, this should be off the air, this is insensitive, was from old conservatives.
Oh, you kidding? I love that.
100%.
I fought it for 20 years.
Yes.
I fought the right for 20 years. And not only just on the smut, but also I was advocating for morning after contraceptives.
Yes.
And I was talking about the HPV vaccine.
Yes.
And, oh my God.
I would literally in my green room think, who do these old conservatives think they are trying to censor us?
Yes.
And being holier than that, thinking that
Correct.
they're so great. It's
Correct.
completely switched.
Completely.
The people complaining now are young people who are self-identifying liberals, self-identifying Marxists at times,
progressive at
and
least.
saying you can't say that about this group, and you can't say that, and that collects to an idea, and you're contributing to an idea that's very dangerous to me, and your speech threatens my safety and
threatens my existence.
Yes,
It's hate.
So if you wonder why I made a big shift to go to speak out, because I'm a pretty passionate guy about free speech. It's our job.
Yeah.
We're comedians. My livelihood, every penny I have is based on free speech.
Yep.
So I'm going to be pretty passionate against anyone, in the old days the right and in the new days the left, about saying you can't say that about such and such. I have strong opinions about that.
Good. Keep them going. Keep standing up for them because it's so easy to see where it's such a clear thing, free speech. I mean, people, the Second Amendment, whatnot, but okay. But the one that we can all should be able to get behind is just speech.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy in France they have a commission? It sounds Orwellian.
It's
it sounds
insane
like, it's
to me.
insane.
Yeah.
They get to decide what you get to say.
Patrice used to have a great thing. Patrice O'Neill, look him up if nobody's heard of this guy. He's one of the greatest minds in comedy, at least I've ever witnessed or been around listened to. He used to do this thing where he's like, why can't I hate you?
Right.
I don't hurt him.
Yeah.
Don't punch him. But why can't I hate you?
Yeah.
That's protected. I can hate you.
Yes.
Now, I don't subscribe to that. I love everyone, but why can't I joke about you?
Yeah.
I can joke about anything. I am a stand-up comic. Like, I'm going to, so it's kind of this idea of like, we've lost sight of what we can and can't do in these things. I said this a few times before publicly, but like if you showed young people, this is a new development. If you showed young people just someone being sucker punched in the street, just knocked out on the concrete, 100 students would say that is wrong.
Yes.
But if you told those 100 students, what if I told you right before he got punched out, he said a racial slur? Now all the kids will go, well, then that's fine. F around and find out. There's social consequences. That's the dangerous thing that I'm witnessing in young people and on the left.
Yes.
Is that we've now made a caveat to like, well, if you're being sexist, then that's what you get. If you're being transphobic, then I think it's great he got punched. And you go, no, nobody should be punching. Nobody should be shooting. No one should be hurting.
And I think that they go a little further, which is anybody who has any opinions that even skate around those areas, they build them into a cartoon character that they can just do away with if they want. No big deal.
He's a fascist, so it's good.
And the people, I don't know if you're aware, but Stalin is the one that invented this calling everyone he doesn't agree with him a fascist. He invented that.
And now it's happening everywhere. Yeah.
You don't agree with me, you're a fascist. What?
I don't know how we got, like, words mean nothing now.
I know.
I even asked my friend recently, a very, very funny comedian, Finesse Mitchell. I said,
he put up the left-wing terrorism thing that just came out on Axios. It turns out that essentially if you cut out, I think, terrorism per se, or group terrorism, the left violence is going up. And
which we shouldn't have any of that.
Correct.
There should be none of that.
But your friend, I interrupted.
So I asked my friend Finesse Mitchell, very funny comedian, look him up as well. I said, well, what is racist? What does it mean? Is telling a joke, right? So like, let's say I go on stage and I tell a racist joke.
Yeah.
Does that make me a racist? And he's like, well, it kind of
is Don Rickles a racist?
Yeah, exactly. So what if you are holding someone from a job? Like, does that person consider, where do you draw the line of what it is?
Yeah.
We don't even have a clear definition of what these words are anymore. What is a fascist to you? Do I drive a Cybertruck? Does that make me a racist fascist?
Well, I knew you were a fascist beforehand.
Well, comedically, that's very funny. But there are people in my neighborhood flipping me off and carving swastikas on cars because they believe someone is a thing. So we've again, just getting back to free speech of why it's so important is because we're losing sight of definitions, we're losing sight of words, and we're losing sight of what people should even be able to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, who was it that mentioned, I guess it's Ben David in the opening segment, that when you do our genetic heritages, we are way more interrelated than you imagine. But
they're even mistaking that. Sorry to interrupt you, but they're even mistaking that. There are young people who believe every black person must have come from slavery.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they'll just be like, well, it's like, no, that's very
But it gets even weirder though, by the way. But it's kind of weirder if you go, no, yes, you had a relative who was a slave, but
maybe.
But you also had the white guy, the slave owner.
Yeah.
So that's even weird. How do people reconcile that?
That's in your blood. That's
so hard. But the other thing that's even more difficult, and I'm not taking opinion of, this is above my pay grade, but anthropologists point out that we don't have a biological definition of race. We just even know we don't. It's a phenotype. It's a presentation.
Yeah.
But the genotype, all over the place. And so we don't really even know.
I think that's good news. I think because I don't see race as that important.
Well,
I really don't. I don't categorize my friends by their hair color or their height or any of these things. I find race to be somewhat trivial. I live in America. All my friends are, Americans by proxy of some place.
Yeah.
But we kind of don't really spend that much time thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we joke and we make things about stereotypes because that's what we've been taught and that's funny to us. But other than that, I don't really care.
I wonder if some of this is a proxy for class tensions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be that. Because it's somebody's using it to their advantage.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's a leverage of power. It's a strange thing, but I find it fascinating. People go, "Why are you so political? Why'd you get into this?" I'm like, "Well, that's how this has all come to be. Is now that we're talking about what we should and shouldn't talk about. That's why I'm in it now."
You weren't political.
I thought I wasn't political,
Well, but you were like me. You were fighting the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I consider myself liberal. You would have been liberal, right?
100% liberal my whole life. Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're being silenced by your team or who I couldn't tell who it was. It was odd.
Very strange.
And it feels like a lot of the excess is Trump derangement. Like it really started in 2016.
I agree with that. I do think that even the way that they speak, and when I say they, I don't even know who I'm saying when I say they, but there are people that they say MAGA like it's something crazy.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, and they use it as another word for like the KKK or something. They talk that, the MAGA does this, the MAGA does that. Like people don't even identify as MAGA.
I think some people do, but I don't really know them. I wouldn't hang out probably.
No, yeah. Well, and I
Maha, I know a lot of Maha people. I know those guys. So.
I find it very, very fascinating that like I've had to say this multiple times, but like people claim they hate religion, but then they treat their politics like religion. They're treating their being a lefty or a righty
100%.
as their religious act.
Yes.
I wouldn't date someone that thinks like that, or I wouldn't even hang out with someone. That's a religious act.
Yep.
You're acting like zealots.
Yes.
And I said on my own podcast, which thank you for promoting Die Hard, where I'm like, I don't pray to Donald Trump.
Right.
I voted for him, yes, because the other person we only have two people basically, otherwise you're throwing your vote away. When I voted for Donald Trump is because the other person was talking about how terrible our country is and about how we need to tear down these systems, and she's holding hands with actual Marxists and all these different things. And I don't like that. So I just picked the guy who at least told me while he's speaking that he likes our country and he likes all people. And so that's what I liked. I don't pray to Donald Trump. He very often embarrasses me. I'm not a disciple of Donald Trump.
Right.
I voted for him and I like him, but he's far from perfect. And I find my faith in Jesus Christ. That's who I pray to.
Yes.
I don't care about Donald Trump.
So there's another sort of weird label that came on the scene, like all of a sudden with the term Christian national came up. I never heard of that before.
It's insane.
I never heard of Zionist before, frankly, but except as a weird Hungarian sect or something. But but now these labels come up and they get traction.
Yeah.
I've been saying for a long time that this country could use another great awakening of some type, because there's a vacuum where religion once was, and ideology and politics seem to be dropping into it, right?
100%. Yeah, they're acting it out.
I do believe strongly that 12-step could also be another sort of important way for people to kind of find that.
That'd be amazing.
It'd be amazing. It works. It's, it really helps people. But fine, your community, your church or whatever would be just as well as good. Do you think that's happening, or is it just?
I think yes, absolutely. There seems to be, no matter how much I yammer on against it, and no matter how much we fight as reasonable men in our own minds and circles, for tribes.
Yeah.
When will we escape these tribes?
Yeah.
It is just such an obsession for people to group up based on race, group up based on political ideology.
But we do that. We just do it.
Know,
it's in
and I just wish there was a way. For a minute there, people were really finding individuality as like a very nice thing, and somehow we've gone right back to tribes.
But we also had a common tribe of being Americans or being Californians, and that's all splintered
Well, groups are good, but we don't put the group identity first. Groups are great. You're inevitably in a group. You're a man and she's a woman, and you're heterosexuals or you're Californians or you're Americans for sure. But putting your group identity first is the problem. Needing to defend anyone that's in your group before you judge if they were right or wrong. That's the part that's dangerous, is these tribalistic kind of things. I have noticed, I don't know if you have, and this could be by my own life experience, that sobriety is blowing up right now. Like there is a lot of people who have I get hundreds of messages a day of people being like, I'm sober. I just started 3 months or whatever. And so I'm very optimistic about it.
I am too, but I'm not sure it's sobriety, but certainly people are choosing not to use substances as much. And that is always a good thing.
Yes, you want people to be healthy.
Our brains are delicate instruments, and you fuck it up with whatever.
Don't take much.
Doesn't take much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the bummer guy. Don't have a good time or whatever, but just Good. We're moving in the right direction, I think.
You said something earlier about off air. I don't know if you want to bring it up, but like the weed stuff, like just talking about like marijuana.
Sure.
They're using it in large doses.
Well, the concentration,
at a pretty young age.
The concentration is insane.
Yeah.
And we're literally talking about a different drug. It's so funny to me. People get, on medical topics, people get so screwed up when the same name has different things that are like COVID, Alpha Delta, different illness than Omicron. COVID, Omicron, not Alpha Delta.
Right.
Different illnesses. Weed, 1970, measured in lids. Not weed to get at the weed store here in California that's 100% cannabis.
Yes.
These are different things. And therefore affecting us differently biologically.
Yeah, well, that's just going along with how words don't mean anything anymore. Oh, I don't do drugs. What does that mean?
I was going to
drugs is so vague.
Yeah.
What drug? Like, are you talking about Tylenol? Are you talking about heroin? Are you talking about weed? Are you talking about mushrooms? That's all in the same category.
Alcohol.
Yeah, they keep it all vague. You know, like it's very, very vague.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, and so weed, yes, the concentration is such that addiction is more common. Psychotic episodes. I didn't believe that weed could cause psychosis. They'd always been sort of been reported here and there. I thought, it's probably schizophrenic or just came out. Yeah. No. Weed injures people, causes psychosis and violence. And, some of the stuff that we're seeing, the violence when people are psychotic, maybe I think high probability drug induced. People want to make it about the SSRIs. I mean, they're not helping. Obviously, somebody's manic, but I think the really wild stuff is more drugs, weed, hallucinogens. Remember microdosing hallucinogens?
Right.
Did you see all the problems from that?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, it's interesting too because weed, like you already kind of covered this, but like people will be like, "Oh my gosh, it comes from the ground." It's like
it's a natural product.
I hear that argument all the time.
What?
It's an herb.
It's an herb. Yeah, it's a natural herb. Here's what you tell people. Plants have chemicals on their surface to prevent the animals from eating them, to poisoning the animals.
Yeah.
There are mushrooms you can lick, you'll be dead in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
That's there to protect the plant, not to make you high.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think it just all gets lost in this shuffle of like, when has weed done anything? And you're like, well, I mean, and also like I one time just said that like, cause I was hanging out with my nieces and her friends and they're young. I'm never around people that age and they just all want to smoke pot and they want to, and I was more just afraid. I'm more talking about like that circle of young people, but like they were all just losers to me because I was like, why don't they want to go do something? Or why don't they want to go outside?
But
it's a beautiful day.
That's sad and
they're in a basement and they want to watch old movies or whatever. And it's fine. I didn't expect Reddit to lose
17, 18? Yeah, but we fucked them up with COVID lockdowns.
Sure.
So I feel bad for them. So.
Well, Reddit went crazy. Like, Jeff Dye's villainizing weed. He thinks he's better than us. I'm like, no, relax. Do your drugs. Everyone have a good time. What I was saying is that
I definitely have a good time, guy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, 100%.
Don't hurt yourself. Have a good time.
What breaks my heart is that young people have to be afraid to be experimental or try these things. Like, we didn't have people dying at parties when I was 18. Well, but like drugs have,
To your point, we talked a little bit about spirituality and 12-step and religion. I'm hearing from young 20 or mid 20-year-old males, particularly, wanting like guidance.
Yeah.
Like they want a spiritual program or they want
some structure.
Structure and it feels like kind of male guidance, like almost like a Native Americans would have rituals where their men would help the younger man to bring him into it. Something is missing.
Yeah.
And we have to give it to particularly the young men.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. That's why every time I'm ever speak ever, I just won't shut up about Jordan Peterson because he was that for me through his work.
I've forgotten that.
Yeah.
Did you ever go see him or anything? Or?
I've seen him speak a few times, and then I listened to every one of his podcasts, all of his things. And
I found him back when he was doing Maps of Meaning.
Yeah,
like 12 years ago.
That book was pretty dense.
Well, very. But did you do the lectures he did?
Yeah.
And that was before anybody knew him. That was before he took the stand on the pronoun thing.
Well, the 12 Rules really broke him open, but like the Maps of Meaning, like I remember trying to because I just listened to it, and I'm like going, like it was kind of heavy for me. But now I've revisited it, and it's great.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, right? But he speaks about how like we told children for so long, like you're fine the way you are.
You're perfect.
You're fine the way you are.
You're you. Why would you do anything?
Are going, but like I have crippling anxiety. I'm directionless. I'm sad. I'm having all these feelings. I don't want to hear that I'm fine the way I am. I want the good word of like, you can get help. You can change. You should be someone. You're not there yet. Let's be better.
Back to the 12-step model. The easiest thing in the world is tell somebody, go do drugs or give them the drugs.
Sure.
Fine. As opposed to, I'm going to be here with you, struggling with your disease.
Sure.
And it's going to fight me. It's going to fight you, but I'm going to stay here with you. It's hard work.
It's heroic.
Exposure is the same thing. Exposure is how we build muscle, expose it to tension, and it's how we build regulation and flexibility and mental health.
Yeah.
Exposed to anxiety-provoking situations, exposure to the things you're obsessing about, exposure to the things you don't like.
100%.
That's how you build a human.
Absolutely.
We've done the opposite.
We've lost all that.
Yeah.
Like somehow it's, why should I have to work and can't I smoke weed all day? And you're like, I didn't know that this would ever happen.
But it makes them so miserable. It's the other thing. It's like you I'm sure on Reddit again, you go, leave them alone, whatever they want to do. Fine, go do what you want. But it hurts to watch that. It's sad.
I'd like to.
Nothing makes me happier than watching young people thrive. That having families, having kids, having jobs, having passion. I get happy when I see it. So why I sort of enjoyed going down to Southern Florida. That's where I first started seeing that again. Yeah, people were out. Young people were out. Young people were dating. Young people were working, excited, and it's moving around a little bit. I'm starting to see it in New York again a little bit. So it seems to be improving.
That's good. Yeah. I want to see people doing all those things like that. Like we were in Greensboro, North Carolina this weekend, and we went over to the bar that was just right across from the comedy club, and it was the first time me and my opener were saying like, we've seen young people drinking and riding an electric bull and square dancing. And I was like, we've been joking around about how every time we go into a town, which is every weekend, no one's out. No one's doing anything. And we were like, this is going to be a problem. If young people aren't going and meeting people or starting, relationships or hooking up or doing drugs or whatever they're doing, like this is what are they doing? Like, I don't know what. So it's good to see. Yeah.
I think when the history books are written, the lockdown will have had a significant effect on this thing we were seeing, and that hopefully they're recovering from. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just kept saying during lockdowns, we've ruined 8 to 15-year-olds. And, André was talking about how totalitarian France became. We went to Greece right after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, I guess we went, and they just came out of a lockdown where you couldn't have gone to the grocery store without checking with your local government.
That's insane.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And that impulse to do that, to take away freedoms, boom. They went to it so easily.
Yeah.
I spoke to a governor, who was a friend of mine, who was holding out on lockdowns. And I said, dude, you have to do it. He was like, this isn't my job to tell people they should stay home if they want to, but it's not my job.
That's what I wish they would have done. And I know hindsight's 2020. So it's very easy for me to come on here now years after COVID and go, here's what we should have done. But if people wanted to go out, they should have been able to. And then it would have been our duty to kind of help the people that stayed in. So like, I got to go get groceries for my neighbor, because that my fellow man, like my neighbor's old, my neighbor's overweight, got a long history of sickness and disease. So they'll text me what they need. I'll use some government money to pick up their groceries, make sure they're okay. But let people who are going to be fine with COVID get COVID and live. I had COVID. I felt fine.
Well, there's a name for what you're advocating.
Yeah.
It was called the Great Barrington Declaration. That's exactly what Jay Bhattacharya put together. It said, why don't we do it the way we've always done it? Why don't we isolate, protect the ones that really need to be? He according to Francis Collins in an email to Fauci, he had to be subjected to a devastating takedown. He's a fringe epidemiologist that need to be subjected to a devastating takedown. It's a government official. I'm trying not to cuss.
His ideas were dangerous.
Screw that guy.
Yeah, F that guy. That guy stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think it all gets lost too, of like, whenever you want to like help people, like they'll misconstrue it. I just don't want to see my nieces and their friends
have a good time,
become drug addicts. and then but everyone on Reddit's like, he's villainizing weed. This guy's an old creep. Or like,
you're an old creep. God, what am I?
Well, it's like you criticize. I'm very old compared to my niece, So that's. But like, it's the same thing with like homelessness. Like, you try to find a way to solve it, or like maybe I just want these people in homes.
Do you know what happened to me?
Instead, they're like, you're insensitive to the homeless. I'm like, I just want them to not be in this situation.
You know what happened to me? I was persuaded by somebody from the LA Board of Supervisors to be appointed. She wanted to appoint me to the LASA committee, the committee that allocates the $21 billion they spend on homelessness. And I was like, no, please, no. That sounds excruciating to me. She begged me. I did it. I said, okay, you know what? I should go in with an open mind and an open heart. I should learn what they're doing and just take it all in.
Sure.
Please do an interview with the LA Times. Okay. Jackie Cargo, was that her name? Just doing it. She's a good one. She'll be fine. You should have read the article. It was unbelievable. Like some fucking maniac was going to come in and put all the homeless people in jail. It was the craziest shit. And she did an interview with some homeless advocate in Massachusetts, not even here in Los Angeles. And his word was what was paramount in the article. She did no investigation on my training or my credentials. Sure. Just said that I'm a physician in good standing according to the licensing board of California.
That's why I called
her back and said, "What is wrong with you?
Yeah,
you want to know my credentials? I've got a list. I'll happily give it to you, and it's all on the half of it at least on the psychiatric side. Yeah. I'll tell you all about it. And I took care of these people for 30 years.
Yeah." For just trying to help. That's what's crazy is like everyone should have good intentions with these things, but they'll completely misconstrue it. If you came up with some great plan to fix the homeless.
I know exactly what to do. I treated them for 30 years. Yeah. It's not hard. I know exactly how to do it.
Well, what is it that
we had all that money
not
that
how
they're
to fix
using.
it, but why won't they let you implement that with the billions of dollars?
Because A, who are you to say, man? A, they're living their best life. So we're going to give them their rigs. We're going to give them their drugs.
Happy.
It's a progressive illness that ends in death. That's the part they don't know. I don't care who's giving them the drugs, progressive to death, period. So you're murdering all these people. It's manslaughter at best. So you have to create environments for care. You have to create environments that they're and you have to say you can't stay here. Just come with us. We'll create these beautiful environments. Live outdoor if you want, but there's going to be a structural. It's going to be a structured setting. We're going to help you and get you better.
No, I get all that, but what's their motive for not letting you do that?
In addition to, there are multiple laws that are in place that say you're a maniac, you're an evil doctor if you want to take people and help them. You're not allowed to do that. Number one. And number two, there's an homeless industrial complex that is unbelievable now.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
That's what someone's making money off this.
$21 billion is being spent to keep people on the street.
Just in California, Gavin Newsom lost like $20 billion that was just supposed to go to the homeless. And mathematically, that works out to roughly $500,000 per homeless person, which wouldn't have been the plan, by the way. The plan wouldn't have been just to give the homeless guys $500,000. No. But where does that money go? And why is everyone fine with that? It's a problem. These people are hurting.
First of all, I don't think people really believe the money went somewhere. They don't. It seems incomprehensible.
It does.
So it's
like so much money.
Number one. Number two, people are only finally understanding that 85% of people in the street are drug addicts.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there is about 5 or 10% that are chronic, serious mental illness, schizophrenic, bipolar, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's another percentage that are essentially the Antifa. If you go around, you see the tents have all kinds of slogans and stuff on them.
Yeah.
And the hallmark is a backpack, a 40-year-old male, backpack, and skateboard.
Interesting.
That is a.
And they're homeless by choice because they hate the system. Right. So they're trying to fight the system.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah. And those people we should not be listening to. We should not be allowing them to do what they're doing.
Right.
They're hurting people.
Yeah.
And that part is that I have no patience with that.
I did some with my church. We worked with a homeless shelter in Seattle, and back a long time ago, 15-something years ago. And the only people we ever helped, in my observation, was people that would have been fine without us. They already kind of had a square. They were already kind of like on the straight and narrow, and they just found themselves in a strange circumstance. They weren't drug addicted. They weren't mentally ill. They just kind of needed a little help.
Well, there's tons of resources for that. Tons.
And that's why how quick they were able to get.
Oh, yeah.
Because we could let them right in. They're not.
Yeah, those people spend an average of like 3 days on the street or something, and they just get off. And
we found her a job immediately because she was a really good young lady who wanted to work and didn't have any problems.
This is another problem with this whole topic. People cannot distinguish. Remember, we talked about words a few minutes ago between homelessness and chronic homelessness.
Sure.
We're talking about chronic homelessness.
Or just
It's a
mentally
different-
unwell or drug addict.
Which
Those
is
are words that I don't feel like I'm being mean using.
Well, you're not allowed to use addict. We have to use substance use disorder.
Oh, jeez.
But my patients who are all addicts love calling themselves addicts.
I'm an
That's what they use.
addict. Yeah, I'm in the program.
Yeah. There's tons of richness and humor being an addict. And it's okay to be an addict.
That's
By the
crazy.
way, you know, I don't know if you know my little theory. It's not even a theory. I think it's pretty well established that addiction is a more evolved form of the human being.
Interesting.
I will put into evidence just, what is this? This is all the, what did this is Newsom. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fine.
So alcoholic addicts make great fighter pilots, shortstops, extreme
Interesting.
athletes. And if you talk to them when they're not using, they'll say, oh yeah, extreme situations. It's like the only time I don't feel anxious.
Yeah.
Right? Sound familiar?
100%.
And if you look at genetically where this disease emerges most, it's in populations that are isolated and have been assaulted genocidally repeatedly.
Wow.
Scottish, Central Europe, North American Indians. This is where
that's
you
fascinating.
see it. And so literally the people that survived in extraordinary military adversity, alcoholic addicts. And you know what movie actually, it subtly did it, but it pointed it out in no uncertain terms, was Braveheart.
Yeah.
10,000 Scotsmen going to battle, 4 guys that are left, alcoholic.
Yeah,
when
100%.
they're not fighting, they're drinking.
Yeah.
And so
No, that makes total sense. Yeah,
I
I get
asked you
that.
this question before, Drew. The Jewish people don't have it, right?
really interesting. So I'm of the opinion, so there are only a few situations where you see addiction without alcoholism. I almost don't see it publicly because I don't like people to, if they're of that persuasion, I don't let them to think, well, then I can drink.
Yeah.
Because trust me, it doesn't really work like that. But you don't see the alcoholism in certain Han Chinese populations and ethnic Jews, Ashkenazi Jews.
Interesting.
And my suspicion is that that's the next level of washout.
Interesting.
If you're genocidally attacked for more thousands of years,
Right.
this is where you end up.
Oh
without
my
the
gosh,
alcohol,
that's
but with the
fascinating.
addiction. And I don't know what the genetic difference is, but I've treated plenty of Ashkenazi Jews for stimulant addiction, opiate addiction. They don't drink.
Weird. Yeah, what a fascinating little observation. That's and you don't have a theory on why that is. I mean,
I think it's just a matter of
over time.
Yeah, over time.
Right.
That's the washout, I guess. Or maybe it was the nature of the trauma, you know. Maybe it wasn't military. Maybe it was the slavery and all that stuff.
420 years, a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a few generations.
Yeah.
That's 5 generations.
So it's all a survival, a product of surviving in adversity.
Yeah.
Which technically is progress.
100%.
It's just that what people miss about evolution is they assume that all evolution is positive. No, it's evolving better, but there may be liability with it. And the liability is the substance part.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all good. And I amuse myself with, I'd give lectures all the time to addicts, and I'd go, hey guys, if a bunch of Huns came over the hill here, what are you guys going to do? They're like, let's go. And I'm like, that is not a non-alcoholic.
Not going to work.
I'm going that way.
Yeah, 100%.
So about 80% would always go towards the action.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, my friend. It's always good to talk to you. So you're going to be back on Gutfeld in a couple of weeks.
Yes,
Did you
sir.
figure out when?
I didn't look. My phone's in.
I was wrong. You're in Boca Raton on the 15th. We go there, though.
Well, hopefully we'll be there at the same time. I'm not sure, but I'll be on Gutfeld soon. And then I'm doing a show in New York City that night at the Stand. So that'll be good.
That's one of our favorite places. We do the
I wanna go
skanks all
see
the
it.
time.
Oh, yeah, it's great, right? It's so fun on
Have you
there.
been on the skanks?
Yeah, a bunch of times. Yeah,
Oh
those
my
are my
God.
boys. Yeah, they're
we're
good
gonna
guys.
be in New York for a while, so maybe we'll
Yeah,
go
hopefully
see you
we'll
at
be
the
around the same
stand.
time.
We should go on the skanks together if you're around.
Let's do it, yeah.
That's a Monday night they do it.
But they have like Story Wars. They're doing something like every single
You're
night.
right.
Those
They're
guys.
doing lots
they
of
do a
different
bunch of
stuff now.
stuff.
I forgot about the story.
They just posted something on X about you when they were asking you for your net worth. Yeah, so you should probably reach out to them.
I saw that. That was whenever I realized, Drew, that you've met Sam Hyde before. The internet meme.
Oh yeah, Sam is a force to reckon with.
We were
Sam's
at the
the
Skank
best.
Fest.
Yeah.
Are you
I
going
love
to the
when
Skank Fest? You're going to the Skank
I'll be at
Fest.
Skankfest in New
We
Orleans
didn't
this year.
get
Yeah.
invited.
We haven't invited you.
I just think it's funny that like some comics at the Comedy Store will think that like I shouldn't be there. They're like, Jeff does jokes about gay people and does jokes about trans. He shouldn't be welcome in the building. And then you have guys like, I'm not doing nothing compared to Sam Hyde or Tim Dillon, who's on that stage every night. It's like, why am I? Am I a safe target to just shoot at? Like, what's going on?
Tim is another one right now that we all got to get behind.
He's the best.
He is leading the freedom.
These guys are the best.
Yeah.
And they're using speech with jokes and making people think, and maybe people going, oh, maybe I'll listen to this. When you go to a Trump rally, no one's an undecided voter. When you go to a Kamala Harris thing, like nobody's considering Trump.
Right.
In the comedy clubs, on podcasts, in these different areas is where people will listen to someone with a different opinion and go, oh, I've never thought of it like that. Or maybe this one guy was saying a thing that I might consider.
Yes.
That's why free speech is important.
And I think we had to aim for moderate too, all of us.
Yes.
We should be aiming for them because to be so certain, it's irrational to be certain.
Also, you might want to ask yourself, what was in that vax? because here's the thing. I've never been on 100% side of anything political
or medical.
I have a lot of opinions that are still left-leaning, and then I have a lot that are right-leaning. You should maybe consider why every one of your ideas falls on the liberal side of things.
Yeah.
You immediately agree with hating Elon Musk. You're pro-abortion. You're Tylenol. How are you 100% on one side?
Yeah,
you should ask yourself.
How did you have an opinion about Tylenol all of a sudden? Where did the hour before did you have one?
Everyone's a tariff expert. Listen, you've got to kind of ask yourself, if anytime your ideas are 100% in one category, that maybe you're a product of some political propaganda.
Yeah, that's another important thing.
The higher education system.
Well, but that's same thing.
Yeah.
and persuasion and brainwashing and these things work. I always worry that I'm getting brainwashed by something.
Oh my gosh. I'm in constant. Like, am I getting too carried away about this? Or like, am I right about this?
And I make mistakes. I stumble. I do.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah, we should be able to miss.
Keep talking. Your numbers are going up right now.
All right. Well, good. Then we'll keep talking.
We should be able to miss.
Jeff can talk endlessly. He just keeps going. What is that?
It's a Stone Tossers comic, Drew, and it's this. You said almost this exact same scenario, I think, on the show a week ago, and Stone Tossers now has a comic about it, and it's a guy dressed up like Don Quixote, and he says, "What good is a hero without a villain?" And he's going up against a windmill, and the windmill in the background is now the shape of a swastika that he just invented in his mind. That's what everyone's doing with comedy these days.
I've seen a lot of this. In society. And I reflected on it when I was young, or I reflected on it recently. When I was young, they taught us about, Black History Month and the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King, all these great leaders. And I did remember longing to be one of the white guys who was on the front lines of the Civil Rights March. And I remember thinking, I wish I was one of these guys. I wish that I was, but we don't really have anything like that. So I'm wondering if young people feel this need, and so 100%. They'll just like, whatever it is. Okay, trans rights. Okay, they're the marginalized, and so we will march with, because they're just looking for something to be so good.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that. You need an enemy. And okay, that's the enemy, and Trump's the enemy, and I'm so good about this.
Yep. So a couple things. So I lived through all that, right? And I will tell you what was different about then is that when people went out and demonstrated, they had a very specific goal in mind.
Sure.
Out of Vietnam now.
Yes.
Civil rights now. Period. Not if you go into the crowds now, you go, what are you demonstrating for?
Yeah, I've been paid.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Was a lot being paid.
Oh my gosh.
There's a union. There's a union. Wait, Jeff. There's a union for paid protesters,
it is
apparently.
So gross.
Maybe apocryphal. I've heard it.
When I learned about that, I thought it was the grossest thing I've ever, because I don't get paid $1 to go on Greg Gutfeld. Yes, there's some symptoms where people will buy tickets to my comedy show and I'm growing my brand. Yeah. Yes. But I go on there because they let me speak freely. When I was at NBC, they said, Jeff, we don't talk like that here. No politics. And I said, okay.
Where was that?
Everything I ever did on NBC. I was on a bunch of stuff and I would say a thing.
News shows or?
No, just like in general, like on programs or on things
like
that I was hosting.
Or?
And you'd say, we don't really say that. Whereas I'm allowed to go on Gutfeld. I'm allowed to go on Gutfeld. I could go on Gutfeld and defend any liberal idea I want.
Anything.
I mean, they might light me up or something, but I'm allowed to.
Trust me.
But I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
That's a good
They don't ask
thing.
you what you're going to say. They don't or tell you what to say. By the way, that used to be that way on CNN.
There's a kid, Nate Friedman. Look him up on Instagram. His name's Nate Friedman. He is just a young guy, and he goes to these things, and he basically exposes paid protesters.
Yeah.
And you can find out how many of these people running amok with their little signs and their hats, but they're just, they don't believe in it. They're just being paid.
Right.
Yeah, like that's so disingenuous.
It's
Like
weird.
it drives me crazy.
When I first started hearing about that, I was like, "Oh my god, it's sort of that's
A lot
that's
too, like $300 to $500. Like not.
a lot of money. $150 a year, $150,000 a year.
I owned Walmart stock, but I found out it was the heiress of the Walmart
that was paying people.
So I sold it.
Well, there you
I
go.
think that's wrong.
I'm trying to get my.
It is wrong,
mic
and it's
fixed here.
very confusing that anyone like if you're. I assume when you see people with signs, it's like they were so passionate about it that they just didn't know what else to do, so they got some glitter glue and they stood on the corner for Palestine. I didn't realize. No, that's a job. They're just working. Like when Nazis would go, "I'm just doing my job," and you'd say, "Well, it doesn't matter because what you're doing is wrong." That's the same thing with your little paid protest. Like I'm just doing my job. Well, your job's wrong.
So I want to go back to the windmill so I can explain what Caleb was saying. I said I was in the shower and I started thinking, when I read Don Quixote, Cervantes, it was sort of the first novel, and it's worth reading. And when I read it, I thought, oh, this is really a spoof on the previous generation. This was the generation that was clinging to knightlyhood and what's the romance where your chivalry. They were clinging to that stuff. And they were getting old, but so much so they would go out and fight with windmills just to find something to be knightly. And the foil is Sancho Panza, I think his name was. And Sancho would just go, boss, no, don't do that. He's a younger man. Yeah. Stop it, boss. Come on. And he would run into all kinds of people living their lives. He was living some ideology of a different time.
Sure.
And this kind of so much today feels like that to me. Like you're looking for the windmills, like this.
Yeah.
Like this
comic 100%. Or they just make a villain. It's very Michael Jordan-esque,
Right.
like where Michael Jordan on The Last Dance, he ruined this basketball player's life. He was like, oh, he thinks he can step to me. He talked all this trash. He lights him up for 9 million points in a game. And then afterwards goes, that guy didn't say any of that stuff. I just had to, in my mind, make myself believe he was saying those things. And you're like, that's a psychopath, but it worked.
I would argue that that's him using his brain and understanding it and using it effectively.
It's great.
The psychopath's the one that starts believing that shit because somebody else told it to them and they can't get out of it.
Well, he ruined that guy. Like literally all the other people were like,
but we got Michael Jordan.
Yeah, when all the other teammates were like, he said that? Like they stepped up their game. Like he just compromised this dude's reputation for,
Interesting. Well, Susan, you let us wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay. Caleb, anything on your radar?
No, I was when I saw that Stone Toss comic, I was like, I got to save this for the show because this is what Drew was talking about. This exact thing.
I did a.
Was strange to see a swastika on the TV that long, but
I was worried about that. But then it takes the joke away if I cover it up. So I'm like, okay, we'll get banned.
See, and now you get it. You see how comedy works. We've got to be able to say the naughty thing to make a statement. You'll say rape is bad, and everyone freaks out. Like, did he say rape? I said, like, yeah, I said it's bad. We have to be able to use the words to talk about the ideas.
Well, I'm the boss, and I say it's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm just looking at something that I didn't know I was being invited to, and all of a sudden, oh crap, how am I going to do that? Well,
Drew.
Yes?
You don't look at your schedule right now.
Okay.
Here we go again.
For this week or next week? For this week or next week?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm more worried about next week than this week.
Do your job.
Okay.
What happened?
Wrap it up.
Oh,
so get out,
Jeff,
get out.
we have this. We have a bad habit on this show that while we're live, at the end of the show, we start talking like we're in a meeting, figuring out our schedule while we're still live.
Oh yeah,
you can wait 5 minutes. And
how are you doing on Tuesday? And everyone's going, "What the hell's happening?"
So I did a stream on the weekend with Greg Gutfeld and Scott Adams. Greg and I went up to visit Scott. He's got cancer, and when he got diagnosed or when it became more serious, we immediately went, we got to go visit this guy, and we just turned on the mics and did an hour and a half stream, and it was really kind of interesting. And I had Lovely time. Scott, thank you for that. Thank you for hosting it. And Greg and I were kind of high after all that. And Greg, thank you for letting me tag along, which he did. It was his weekend. He had some things he had to do, and I did them with him.
Nice.
And it was really, really kind of glorious. So nice weekend.
I love that. I'll be with Greg this Saturday. He's still doing all his live shows, so I've been opening for him, which is fun.
Where is it?
Nice.
Somewhere in Arizona, but it's like in the middle of somewhere. It's not like Tempe or Scottsdale.
That wants to do the meet and greet there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't know if they do meet and greets.
There was some
Because
sort of
security.
VIP thing.
Okay, I can hook that up for you guys easily.
Okay, that'd be
if you
great.
message me. But I didn't know that he does meet and greets. We do this thing where we come out and do like a mic check. And then I was like, I don't need to be at the mic check. I'm doing stand-up comedy for 10, just talking to the mic. And they're like, no, we sold tickets for the mic check. So like that, so I had to be there for that.
I think Kat invented that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I need some help with something. So Susan, you don't know this, but I'm going to go see Kat and Corolla on Thursday night in New York. I don't know
Next
where.
week, yeah.
Next week.
Nice.
And Adam started railing on me. He goes, you have to do 4 minutes of comedy if you're going to show up.
Boy.
Yeah. So any advice? Like,
You'll be fine.
What topics?
I really
you write
believe
it
you'll
for
be
him,
fine.
Jeff?
Huh?
Yeah, because you do this. Like it's totally different when I'm talking to someone who doesn't.
I got to come up with a
They're
story.
going to go crazy just because you got up there.
I don't even know how a joke is constructed.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are some formulas.
Yeah. So do I just ask Rock?
Well, put the funniest part last and leave a pause. That's the most quickest advice
Also,
I can give.
because I'm a Pryor fan, and the stories I always thought were just a great way to do it.
Well, I think a lot of comics, especially when it's their first time, they're nervous, so they're just kind of rambling. The silence scares them.
Oh,
but
I don't
the
have a problem with
silence
that.
is when
I've
they're
done public
supposed to be
speaking.
laughing.
I've done public speaking so long. So
Yeah.
I understand the
Yeah, you
importance of
get it.
silence.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And also, you're Dr. Drew. They're gonna hear your name and they're gonna like lose their mind.
Then I could just
you'll
sit
be
back
fine.
down.
Well, no, you gotta do a few minutes, but you'll be set in a good position for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you don't understand. You can disappoint too.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Well, I mean, that might help you to bomb. They might love that. Like, we saw Dr. Drew. He was so charming while he bombed.
I think you should get up with Kat, maybe.
No, they're challenging me to go do myself.
I didn't even know Kat did stand-up comedy.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
She does. She's funny.
And she's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she makes a lot of money doing
Let me
it.
have this camera back. Jeff
They
Dye,
call
everybody.
it a book tour.
It is Die Hard, this one, yeah.
Okay.
Jeff is jeffdye.com and Jeff Dye on X.
Yep, I'm on all the stuff.
All the stuff, and there is his upcoming comedy tour, and we are so grateful that he comes by. He doesn't live too far from here, but I still feel immensely guilty that he comes in.
I love it.
But it's fun to have him here in the studio with us. And thank you to André Bercoff. And shall we put up our upcoming guests on the list here? There we go. JP Sierra, Jessica Rose tomorrow, which is kind of an interesting juxtaposition. Latipo, for the Surgeon General from Florida, and Casey DeSantis, the First Lady. Then we've got a big TWC show on the 16th with Gary Breck. And we will be early on the 2nd. Is that correct, everybody? I don't want to get that
right
wrong.
now it's scheduled for 12 p.m. Pacific.
Okay. So the 2nd will be, pay attention. That's when we talk to the Florida officials. And we thank you all for being here. Let me quickly glance at the restreams. And are you guys doing anything? I see you guys on the restream, and I see you on the rants. Yes, Fleet. Scott Adams has cancer. He has prostate cancer. And we've been kind of helping him out with that.
If you want to see the video, go to @DrDrewX on X or x.com/Dr. Drew, and it's posted up there.
Is it pinned?
No, but if you scroll down, there's a bunch of, you'll see this show a few times, and then you'll
just
see
the
it.
three of us in a line looking out towards the camera. It's kind of odd.
It's really cute. I listened to the whole thing. It was really good. It was like a real podcast. And then they just talked, and
It was another example of, now I'm going to leave this camera, of just people who can talk on mic. And the three of us know how to talk. And so it just, we interested each other. So it was just like, oh, this is great. I didn't know we did it for, I thought we did it for like 35 minutes. It was an hour and a half.
I know. I love that. I've often said when we do a podcast sometimes in the tribe of stand-up comedians, it's like, even if we didn't turn on the microphones and cameras, I'm just happy we did this.
Well, and shout out to Gary Smith. When I was first doing podcasting, he was producing my pod. And he said, I've been around radio and stuff. And he goes, but I've learned podcasting is mostly about wanting to hang out with the host.
Yeah.
Just want to hang out.
You want to get to, and that's all it is. It's autobiographical. People want to get to know you more, and that's a great way to do it. And then also, how many great conversations by the greatest minds that have ever lived weren't recorded. Nobody heard it. Just this real smart conversation or maybe a light conversation, and it's just lost.
Well, go find a way to, if you let me know how Bercoff can be translated, because he has great conversations.
I'd love
It's
that.
Radio Sud. It's on Tuesdays État. Maybe put it up there, Caleb, before we wrap this thing up, which is in every state, in all his states. And he has a thing called Face à Face, which is face to face. And he just does I learned a lot talking to him. I
love that.
There it is. Dans Tuesdays in all his states. I think that's what I mean. Maybe it's some weird.
And he's a model in France.
Funny people. All right, Jeff, thank you for being here.
Thanks
and thank you all for being here. We will see you tomorrow. And tomorrow is 2:00. We'll see you then. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.